your hero? Who's your king? Who's the one that makes you swing? Four faces carved in stone, the legends that we all own. Power slams and flying knees. Who brings the crowd down to its knees? Mount Rushmore Mondays. Who's your top four? Legends at the ring, leave you wanting more. Mount Rushmore Mondays, standing.
What is up, everybody? Happy Monday. I am your host, Nick Teodoro. Welcome to Mount Rushmore Mondays, where we count our top four. Who would be in your Mount Rushmore? I want to hear from you every week. This is a call-in show. Write in who's your top four. This week, we're doing the ladies. Last week, I had a special guest co-host, Josh, that joined me. This week, I'm bringing in my buddy from overseas. You know him from the Weekly Steelchair, Reece. What's going on, buddy?
What's happening? Hello. Good to see everybody in the chat. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Wait, is it Tuesday for you, though?
Not for another 56 minutes.
Nice. So we could enter into Tuesday territory. Nice.
Yeah.
Future in time. All right. Let's get started. So we want to hear from all you. Before we get started, make sure you smash the old like, subscribe if you haven't already. All that fun jazz. Again, make sure you actually smash a like and subscribe to the Weekly Steelchair if you haven't already.
Thank you. I'm close to 450 now, so thanks for the kindness, and keep subscribing here too, folks.
Awesome, dude. That's exciting. All right, let's get started, Reece. We got our four. We want to hear from everybody. We're going to open up the phone lines in a little bit.
Yeah,
we want to hear your top four, but it is the ladies. So your women's Mount Rushmore. Reece, before we get started, any overall thoughts?
I think it's, when it comes to a Mount Rushmore, I've said it before, like a Mount Rushmore you might have 3 or 4 constants, you might have 1 or 2 who might be a constant, the other 1 or 2 can jump in and change your perspective over time. But as we always say, a Mount Rushmore, as we were talking backstage, and I completely agree, a Mount Rushmore is completely subjective. It's our opinion. If you disagree with it, that's fine. Just don't be a dick about it. But if you do have a different opinion, we would love to hear it. And I for one, really enjoy Mount Rushmore because it really gets the brain going. It really determines what you value in a performer and a talent, but also their overall impact on the business, whether it be short-term or long-term. A Mount Rushmore doesn't have to be for somebody who's been in the business for 30 years. It could be someone who's been in the business for less than 10. Because they can just be someone you're like, damn, I really like this person. So absolutely,
That's what I think exactly what I love about these concepts, because it could be it's completely subjective how this wrestler, how they affected you, right? And what maybe got you into wrestling, maybe they affected the industry in a way. That's what's so funny is, we come from, slightly different generations of wrestling, right? And what we've watched and loved. And that's going to be so fun to see and how this all plays out. And that's the thing. The chat is going to be coming from all different angles as well, and different angles of the globe. You're from the international area, so what impacted you, what you saw versus what we saw here in the States. Yeah, that's interesting too. A nice dynamic.
I can already guess if Catherine turns up, her Mount Rushmore of women is no one, no one, no one, and no one.
It's probably more like this.
Yeah, all blank.
Yeah. But see, that's a bad way to look at it, because there's been so many great female wrestlers in the WWE, just in history. So that's what we're going to get to. So Reece, let's kick it off. As the guest here of honor, who is first on your list?
So I believe we're going in descending order. So 4 to 1. So number 4 for me is a woman known in the UK and also known in the US and Japan. She is what I like to consider the true powerhouse of women's wrestling. I think one of the two, I should say. The other one obviously is later on. But this woman for me had, as the kid merchants these days, this woman had aura, but she actually was a scary presence, but she really could work. She was powerful, she was tenacious, she was destructive, she had one of the best power bombs. The implant buster is one of the best finishing moves as well. She had a look that really scared you. Obviously, karma comes in two ways and it doesn't work in WWE, but number 4 on my list 100% is, to many as a TNA fan, it's Awesome Kong, who for the longest time had the highest rated segment on TNA Impact history until the Hulk Hogan debut episode, which is just a disgusting thing anyway. Awesome Kong did set a 3.4 record rating with Gail Kim in the main event of an Impact episode for the Knockouts title. It's she's a one woman wrecking force. She didn't need the Kong Taraj faction that she once had, but I always liked her matches with Gail Kim. I liked the chemistry that she had. I thought she had great chemistry with the likes of Angelina Love. She had great chemistry with another woman that I'm a massive fan of in Taylor Wilde, who doesn't make my list. She doesn't make my list, but she's one of my all-time favorites. Another woman who sadly doesn't make my list, but she's one of my favorites, is Daphne. That was the hardest one to leave out of my list, leaving out Daphne. But Kong could work with bigger women, smaller women. She really had it all, and when you hear the it was like that.
She did have
like
that
Taker
awesome
feel. It was like that Taker feel, like when Taker's gong goes off, shit's coming down. When Kong's like gorilla type boom boom went off, you knew it was game over at that point. So yeah, number 4, Awesome Kong.
So I completely understand. Like, when I watched the bit that I watched of her in TNA, like, she was booked how a monster heel should be booked.
I agree.
And I loved that she did that. And then she, now looking back, like, and we talk about, and you'll see with my list in terms of like people who transcend, like last week, like I was talking about people who transcend the industry and go beyond that. Like with her in, was it Heels? No, not Heels. Oh my gosh, Glow.
Yeah.
Glow, like, and what she's done there and been able to kind of extend her career beyond that. I was hoping for so much more with her in WWE. I thought that there could have been, so many more opportunities with that character, and completely get it. But
it's a shame they didn't bring her back. Like, obviously, she had that awkward storyline where you can tell that she was in WWE in the right way, but she was in the wrong era. Right? She was not a diva. You can tell she is amazing, Nikki. Absolutely, she's not a diva. When like Awesome Kong or Karma, she is just a pure women's wrestler who can entertain in so many ways, but she's not a diva, and it didn't work. You stuck her in a feud with the Bellas. It didn't work. They had no chemistry. She had no chemistry with Kelly as well. She had no chemistry with Eve Torres because they didn't know how to adapt to her. They were not actively trying. She was trying. And obviously other things got in the way. She got pregnant. They humiliated her with that whole thing. And then I'm just surprised they never brought her back. Because you look at 2014, 2015, a couple of years out from having a child, she would have actually done great in the upcoming talent that was there. So I'm surprised they didn't do it.
It was just wrong time, wrong place. But someone who I think was in the right time, right place is on my list. My number 1. I know Nikki's gonna give me a bunch of crap for this because she's like blonde, but Charlotte Flair. I was torn on whether, like, where to put her on my list, but I have to have Charlotte Flair on my Mount Rushmore list. To me, she's been part of everything, the women's revolution, everything that happened. I feel like, say what you will about her name, but having Ric Flair to her name helped some of those things get over. And she was in every one of those big matches except for, and we're talking about this because I completely thought she was in the first Women's Royal Rumble, but she wasn't. But again, second Women's Royal Rumble, first Women's Elimination Chamber, first Women's Hell in a Cell. Just everything she's been part of
Yeah.
this revolution, and I don't know. Now maybe some of this gets done, right? Some of this stuff happens, but I don't know that all these things happen and in this time frame without Charlotte Flair. So, and again, she's a phenomenal performer in the ring. She's now, what was it? I think she's up to 9 or 13 title reigns. I don't even know. It's
15.
insane. Yeah,
15.
I mean, she's going to get to the point where she's the most. She's already the most decorated women's wrestler in history. But I think all her contributions beyond that, with being the inaugural, with those matches, really makes her a necessity to be on my list here.
I understand. I mean, I'm not particularly a fan of Charlotte Flair, but I certainly understand your points in the circumstance. I think when you look at overall, yes, you can have the name, but can you live up to it is a different question, because, well, we saw David Flair. Like, David Flair didn't like David Flair was an okay success in WCW. Like, he never really took anything beyond that, but he was only made US champion because Ric Flair was the stand-in president. So it's going to happen when your dad's the kayfabe head of a company. So you're going to have some sort of like push. But when he went to WWE, I only remember David Flair in one match, and he got absolutely torn apart. So you can honestly say that David Flair, for the name, isn't a success. Like, whereas Charlotte, in the circumstance, you can see that she is a success. I think at times she's considered. I would say at times she's a bit too lazy, and she hasn't adapted or evolved herself. But I can see why people would mention her purely for the success rate and the fact that she has at least, in some ways, live up to her dad's name, which is not easy to do in any shape or form. It's not easy. So I completely understand why you've included Charlotte. Honestly, I do get it.
Yeah, I just had to. But Reece, we move on. Who is your number 3 or number 2?
Number 3, I think, will get a pop out of the chat. At least I hope so. Anyway, number 3 for me is a woman who not only was a great manager, but she was actually a very underrated worker. She is a deserved Hall of Famer, and she had a very amazing appeal about her, and she knew how to get talent over, whether they be established stars or young stars, or even come back for a comedy skit in 2005 where it was absolutely brilliant. Like, we all remember Sexy Kurt. All I'm gonna say is this woman is what people claim the Fabulous Moolah is. For me, this woman is what Fabulous Moolah should have been, but instead she's just an absolute conscious, well, excuse my language, she's a right conscious bitch. But I have always been a fan of this woman. I loved her run with Ted DiBiase. She was amazing as the scary queen. She was a brilliant world champion. And I thought she was just incredible in WCW. So that is Sensational Sherry.
Yeah, so this is what's so funny is about the differences in lists and things of that nature, and I completely get why you have Sherry on that list.
Absolutely.
To me, and we talked about this before we went on air, is of the backgrounds of the wrestling that we watch and the differences, because again, to me, I was exposed to more of the, for lack of a better term, the valet Sherry, right? That was with Shawn Michaels, that did all that, the managerial stuff. And that's why, I completely get why she'd be on yours, maybe most people's Mount Rushmore. And to me, when I was thinking about this, I was like, I just couldn't, I would very much strongly consider in a managerial. It's kind of 50-50 for me on where I would put her, because mine, I was thinking more maybe wrestling related and that I've seen, right? But again, it's completely subjective, and that's what's so fun about this whole point is, again, who you've seen and impacts on the business, and to you, right? This is her impact on the business.
She's, for me personally, she's the this might go controversially to Nikki because we're both Macho Man fans, but I'm going to controversially say that Sensational Sherry is the greatest women's manager of all time and not Miss Elizabeth. But I am a big Miss Elizabeth fan. But when I look at Sherry, you look at the fact that she got Shawn Michaels over. She accidentally got Luna Vachon over in 1993, which many people never thought would happen. She helped Booker T and Stevie Ray get over in WCW in the Harlem Heat as Sister Sherry. Like, this woman is so adaptable. You would think that that should be Chris Jericho's idol. Because when you look at adaptation, she is the female equivalent of Jericho. Like, you put her anywhere, she doesn't fail. And I think her best success, not only as a women's champion, but I think the part of Sherry's career I enjoy most is going from DiBiase to Savage to Michaels. I just think, even though her run in WCW was amazing, I just thought the fact that she went from 3 separate entities, 3 separate characters, 3 separate legends of the business, and she still stood out. She was never overshadowed, is what I admire about her the most. And I think you cannot discredit her legacy, because there's nothing about her legacy that actually screams anything else. And Nikki as well, I agree with you in the chat, like a command in a room, but also the fact that her wrestling was underrated. Like, try and find, and bear in mind, this is a time where women's wrestling wasn't taken seriously as much. She was still standing out. Like, when the fabulous moron eventually disappeared before she came back as the Black Spider, you look at the early 80s of wrestling, Sensational Sherry was the conversation for everybody. NWA, the WWF, like other local territories, the AWA, they all tried to get their hands on her. Like, that's how popular she was.
That's a fair point. Yeah, it's a fair point. Is that she was, that valuable, and I completely get that. So on that front, I will start with someone who started her career as a manager or in a valet form. Got to throw Trish Stratus on my list again. Became, now is it 7-time? How many times?
7-time champion.
I didn't even count it was that many times. I feel like she retired at like 3 times, and then she just kind of came back the last however X amount of years and just won these the blue. But like, again, everything that she did to kind of bring women's wrestling to the forefront within the Attitude Era. I know Nikki's gonna crap on it because it's another blonde situation, but to me, I gotta put her there. I mean, and talk about someone who just was able to just work literally her ass off to get to where she was at. She came miles, and it almost reminds me somewhat to a similar fashion of like how Liv Morgan has been to this point. Like, look how far Liv Morgan has come in a similar fashion. Just someone who's willing to put in the time to get there. And to me, if there's a Mount Rushmore women's wrestling, one of the most similarly how I did it last week with Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of the most popular women's wrestlers of all time, I gotta have Trish Stratus on my women's Mount Rushmore.
I completely understand that. I think in general, she does have a legacy that stands out, and you can't take it away. Spoiler alert, folks, Trish Stratus is not on my Mount Rushmore. Spoiler alert. Not that I don't care for Trish Stratus, it's just simply there's other factors involved, but she was at least somebody who had no clue about the business at all. Even though she was a fan, she had no clue about how to work, how to cut a promo, how to be different. But she was willing to work, and that's something that I at least can appreciate from someone who was like, no, I'm not the best here, but I've got a work ethic. You let me work hard and you give me a chance, I'll show you the reward you get for putting your money and your time and investment into me. So that's an insane amount of gratification that she got, and she deserved that for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, Again, I don't know if you caught. Nikki's just trolling the chat. Unbelievable.
You sure it's not brunettes? Yeah, no, that's me.
I know, Reece. Well, let's see as I ran it up in the poll. Nothing yet. Who is your third as you're talking about brunettes? Is that a nice little segue into your number 3?
So as we're carrying on in descending order, so we've done 4, we've now done 3, we're now on who's second. This is a woman who I've watched for the best part of 10 years. I've actually met this woman, and I'm actually glad for that. One of the most humble, kind human beings I've ever met, but her in-ring style is transcendent. It's like she's a really good technical wrestler, but she's also an aggressive striker. And she knows who her character is, and she was willing to bet on herself when nobody else did. Nobody understood what her character meant because nobody even tried to grasp what she was. And I think that's really unfortunate. But she's a seasoned veteran, multi-time champion in several promotions. She's wrestled some of the best out there. She's had great matches with the best out there. And she still continues to prove herself in a variety of ways. So this woman, to me, she isn't my all-time favorite, but she's my favorite of the current era. And I don't see anyone replacing her in that manner. So naturally, the next one on my list is New Jersey's own, the virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo.
Jersey represent. Reece, that alone might be your reason to travel to New Jersey.
I mean, I've already told her that once. I was like, if I ever come to New Jersey, I just hope you'll be there at some point. I said to her that one. She actually smiled when I said that. She appreciated that.
That's funny. But
yeah, she was never not going to be on my list. I don't care. She was never not going to be on my list.
So, yeah, and admittedly, I haven't seen enough of her, and I was expecting to see. I saw her debut, her AEW debut. I was there front row in New Jersey for that, sitting behind her parents, ironically. And I expected so much of, and talk about like similarly with like the Kong thing. It's like I'm expecting so much, and still, I think there's so much more that she's gonna do with AEW when given an opportunity. So I'm curious to see. And again, I'm kind of, this is why these lists are so much fun. They're completely subjective. What have you seen from Deonna that makes her so phenomenal in your eyes?
It's the development of her own character that nobody came up with. It's her own idea. It's the fact that she was like, I want to be the worker's girl. Like, I want to be the worker's worker. Like, when you think of women's wrestling, you think of the consistency, the year on year. You think of she wants that to be that personification. And she's not like Natalia or like a Bret Hart type thing where they work to the bone, but they'll still show consistency night after night. But she has that mantra, and I think that's what makes her unique. Is you can see what she values and what she bases it on, but she's still willing to do other things. Like, she's got her own podcast, Boots to Boots. She's still doing like her own school stuff. Like, this is a woman who is so dedicated to so many ventures, but she's not stopped her passion and her love for wrestling. And that for me is another most important thing, is if other things get in the way, you see the focus and the commitment drop. We've seen it with Rock. We've seen it with Cena. We've seen it with other women like Mickie James. Like, her music career just decided, well, that's her. She's no longer a wrestler. But those are all important. But whereas Deonna's got so many ventures and she's not letting any of them drop. Like, I think that plus all her charity work for like American veterans and all that, I see her. She's very involved in that because of her husband, Steve Macklin. I think if you're so dedicated, that means success is inevitable. And if the fact that she's a champion in Ring of Honor multi times over in 2 separate runs, She's a champion in TNA. She's been a champion in Mexico. She just needs to win something, hopefully in AEW, which on the main AEW roster, which I think she will after she's fully done with school. But I feel like I still want to see her go and take that by the grasp. I was hoping before the tag team, when the tag team titles were announced, I was like, oh, please let her win this. But she wasn't even involved, so I was like, great. But I knew I was like, she was going to win the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. So like, at least that's something because it was built for her. But you can see that she wants to make everything improve and grow exponentially to a standard that she believes the business actually is, rather than what she really sees. And I think that's another factor, and that's why she's on my roster.
Interesting. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well done. Well, Reece, I'm gonna go with my again someone that I've seen Attitude Era. Gotta go with Lita. Similarly with Trish Stratus, if I go with Trish Stratus, I gotta go with Lita. And I go with someone who, to me, is just when we talk about
not a blonde.
As I get, yes, I know. I finally could get that off my back from somebody in the chat there. But regardless, to me, she revolutionized a lot of what women did in the ring. All the high flying moves in WWE. Again, I'm very WWE heavy person. From what I saw of women's wrestling, again, I didn't see much in the early 90s of it. And her doing all the high flying moves and everything that she brought to the ring. And then you talk about even later with like what she did with Team Extreme in terms of, the TLC matches and everything else to, putting that over. Then she competed, and we talk about revolutionizing wrestling. She actually did compete in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. So putting her and be as part of that, again, just furthering the industry, furthering what, the perception of what could be done and completely, moving the industry forward in so many ways. I had to have Lita on my, women's Mount Rushmore.
Oh yeah, I love Lita. I think Lita is one of the absolute trailblazers of the business. I think the Lita Assault is always a joy to watch. Obviously, when you look at,
sorry, I knew, yeah.
Exactly. Natural comment, Nikki. Natural comment. I do think I do think that when you look at careers that what she's had, I think her career would have been better if she hadn't got those serious injuries like her neck and her knee. I think if she hadn't had those two injuries in between 03 and 05, I don't think she would have retired in 2006. I think she would have kept going, maybe into maybe another 2 years. But I feel like that injury certainly cost her everything. But I can't go any foot wrong with her. I thought like her style was excellent. She was really enjoyable to watch. She had very good promo skills, and she didn't really have a bad match. But obviously, at the time, it wasn't really about the matches for her, I think, or the matches she was up against. I think it was more about what involvement she can do. Like, what spot is she going to do to spark the crowd? Like, so like it's not a disservice to her where she had some good matches, but you immediately think about the Hurricane Rana off the ladder at Unforgiven 2000 on Christian in the tag team ladder match steel cage.
Yeah.
You think about her involvement at WrestleMania 17, as you say in the TLC too. She does the Hurricane Rana, then Rhino gores her. I mean, hey ho, I mean, I distinctly remember in 2001 Chris Jericho calling the wrong person a whore. That's all I'm saying. But then you look at that, and then she main evented Raw in 2004. She got to be the final match of Trish Stratus at Unforgiven 2006. Again, a great moment in Canada for the two of them. Then she bows out at Survivor Series against Mickie James. So she went out with the old guard and the new guard at once in the space of 3 months. That's someone that's trusted. And she rightly so was a Hall of Famer, like multi-time champion that she deserved. If she hadn't had that neck and that knee injury that she had, the really serious ones, I honestly think we would have seen far more of her. More not just as a wrestler, but maybe more of like a valet, like because I thought like her valet stuff was limited with the injuries. They didn't let her do as much. but she's had some great in-ring partnerships that are just a joy to watch. Like she's right up there.
Yeah, and I actually did have the pleasure of meeting her a few years back at an autograph signing in New Jersey. Yeah, she was pretty cool. She was awesome at the time too. But yeah, just again, to me, it was just kind of changing the industry of what could be done, the different levels of wrestling.
Hell yeah.
Reece, the number one spot, the last spot, but really the number one spot on your Mount Rushmore.
This woman is what I believe professional wrestling for a woman really means. This woman has brought her own family into the business, like her daughter. She ran down an entire promotion herself in the late 80s and 90s. She came over to the States and she absolutely destroyed the women's champion at the time, took her back to Japan and beat the champion as well in her own country. This is a woman who had a fiery look, finally became a Hall of Famer a couple of years ago. Sadly, she's never been in a women's rumble, but if she did, I mean, I would selfishly book her to win the whole thing. But this woman had a unique look. She had a brilliant sit-down face cutter. She had a powerful leg drop that's better than Hulk Hogan's. And she had the coolest name for a woman that you can find. She had the tall, spiky hair. She had the face paint. She had her own version of a singlet. She came out to motorbikes in the Tokyo Dome in 1994. It's the one and only is Bull Nakano. For me, the greatest women's wrestler of all time. This is the woman that made me become a full-on women's wrestling fan. Always, like, even though I was watching the WWE at the time and etc., like, I discovered this woman when I was 6 years old. So you're going back a long way. You're going back 22 years. I found a match of hers just by accident, but it was just so surreal, and there's nothing about her that I can't say that no one else has said about her as well, because that's what she is. Like, she is the conversation. And when you think about women's wrestling and what's become, people talk about their inspirations. I very rarely hear people use her name, which I think is crazy, because if it wasn't for her, there is no Awesome Kong. There's no China. Like, you think about it in that perspective, like, those are two powerhouse women. Asia Kong as well, another one. You would never even want to say their name if it wasn't for Bull Nakano. The likes of Io Sky, the likes of Asuka, proud Japanese women, Kairi Sane, other ones that like Momo Watanabe, Bozilla's a new up and coming young woman. Like, everyone's a big fan of Beth Phoenix as well. Exactly. Like, these women don't get any enjoyment, satisfaction, or truth to their work if it wasn't for this brutal, beautiful powerhouse. So that woman has convinced me for the longest time. And to be fair, Deonna Purrazzo is the same. She is a powerhouse, but she's a technical powerhouse. But if you actually look at her look in little ways, similarities are there. But it's not just that. There's a segment that she had, and there's a segment that she did on a Japanese show, and it was like she was awarded money for beating Alundra Blaze for the title, and it was absolutely funny. And she turned around, and the Japanese translation for it into English was, "Oh yeah, I won. I'll have the money. I'll spend it on new bikes." She went out and bought a freaking Harley Davidson. I'm like, this is the woman. I agree. She was in the wrong era.
Yeah.
It sucks that she didn't, because if she'd been in any era,
if I
Charlotte Flair's
recall
not a
correctly,
15-time champion.
She was doing a bunch of high flying stuff in a little bit that.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
She was kind of similarly to, like, maybe the to your point, like the WWE's for like Lita, like the prequel to what we would see with Lita later, years later in WWE in the Attitude Era. And you said it Reece, you kind of made a nice little
It's
segue for it.
her big splash off the top rope is crazy. And you look at this woman, like, let's be real, she's not a thin woman. Like, she is a big woman. Like, she, in the best way, she is a big curvaceous woman. If she hits you with that thing, if she gets you
I
in
think
a
the
big
term is
splash,
big beautiful. I don't know, BBW.
I'm alright with that. But if you look at how she does that, even like her scoop slam into the leg drop, that's a lot of weight coming down. But she was so protective of her. She never injured anybody. Like, she's one of that proud record where she's never injured a single wrestler.
Well,
Especially
it's
when
just
it's
the
hard to do.
force. I see what you get. Yeah, it's the force, and it makes it that much stronger. And you made a perfect segue when you're talking about powerhouses. And to me, my number one has to be on my Mount Rushmore. I talk about women's wrestling, who revolutionized female wrestling for me in WWE and just in general. I have to go China, Joni Lawler.
Yeah.
To me, everything she did, I know she didn't wrestle in the division too often, but everything that she brought, becoming Intercontinental Champion alone, is just
twice.
Like, I can't even fathom that. And what she did, and the way that she was able to, she was in the rum, just everything she did as a to elevate. She, to me, perfect. Honest, like, as a manager, elevated Triple H so much. She elevated Shawn Michaels in DX. By association, everyone else.
She got Eddie Guerrero over.
Yeah, forget Sean Waltman. She was the X factor of Degeneration X, and it was such a shame it took so long for her to get into the Hall of Fame. And she needs her own place there, not as part of just the faction. But
I agree.
To me, she changed. Again, when we're talking about things that females can do in the ring, she changed everything. I don't think we see a Rhea Ripley today without China being in WWE during the Attitude
She's
Era.
another one, actually, if you think about it. Rhea to China to Bull, they all actually tie in. But I agree. Like, China was. She was actually. I remembered when she debuted, when she attacked Marlena, and it was just the way she came out the crowd, and it was just redacted saying, "Look at the size of that thing." But that's what they said. Look at the size of that thing. But she was like 200 pounds of pure muscle, and you're like, you were my wife. I want that one. Like, she had it all. Like, and God rest her soul. But like, she really had it all. Like, power, beauty. She was a phenomenal promo. Good psychology. She helped get talent over, even if she may not have been best suited to work with them. Like, in that moment, because again, it's embarrassing. Like, she was going to be WWE champion in '99, but Vince realized, actually, sorry, I'm not doing that. But like, she really had it all. And yeah, that was funny. That was funny. The only part of her, this is going to sound controversial because I know it was popular. The only part of her career I absolutely don't like is the feud with Mark Henry. I know that's going to sound controversial, but I actually don't like it because I actually feel like that led to her downfall.
Was that with The Rock, or is that after The Rock?
The Nation, and then obviously Mark Henry becoming like sexual chocolate and all that. And I know it's popular, but like, I feel like that moment actually that ruined her, because if you think about what would later become her personal career and what she eventually did as a future job, which again, it's people's choice and obviously it's people's life, you can see that I'm not directly blaming Mark Henry, but it's the storyline itself. It's not best suited. So I don't particularly like it for that, but I do like some of the other stories. I didn't like she was part of the corporation, and I did that in the corporate ministry. I thought that was too weird. But
that's right. Yeah, I completely even forgot about it. Yeah, I blocked that part out.
Yeah, but I did oddly like her feud with the right to censor. Like, I actually think that's her best feud. The feud with Ivory and the Right to Censor. I thought that was really well done. But I
Yeah.
like that, and I liked her feud with Jericho and Jarrett. Like those
Yeah,
are my 3 favorite feuds.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, Reece, we went through our Mount Rushmore. Before we open it up to anyone who wants to call in, let us know what their Mount Rushmore is. Let's go through some real quick tough decisions. So who was your honorable mentions and tough decisions? Who did you leave off that was the toughest to leave off your list?
The toughest one to leave off, well, 2 of them. The toughest for me to leave off was Daphne and Taylor Wilde. Daphne, because like I loved her character work. I think Daphne's the best female character in the history of women's wrestling. I've never seen a women's character come close to Daphne, and I thought her whole maniacal storytelling is what made her unique and special. And I love the way that she streamlined from WCW across, and obviously I remember her TNA career. I hate what happened to her, and I still hold Dixie Carter accountable for what happened to her. And God rest her soul as well. Like, I actually was unlucky. I actually watched the Instagram live when it happened, like leading up to what became of her. I was actually watching that Instagram live, and it was horrifying. I never got over it. But like, it's why I was really excited, even though I know it was horrible to watch. I was excited for the Dark Side of the Ring episode just for her, because I wanted to see how they were going to present her.
Yeah,
but
I thought it was great. I thought that was phenomenal the way that
it was a brilliant episode, and it's just a shame that she suffered such a horrible several concussions, and then obviously what she did for that disabled wrestler was incredible. That shows that wrestlers really do have a heart if you don't spam them abuse. And Taylor Wilde is just one of the best technical wrestlers I've seen overall from Canada. Like, she really has it all as a look. Then her first run TNA, she's just a pure blonde technical wrestler. Her second run, she's a coven witch, which was very different, but it was good storytelling. So we got to see that. And so those 2 were the toughest decisions. And the honorable mention is just a multi-time champion who I've saw live, had a lot of talent. To be fair, Mercedes Moné is another one. But an honorable mention I would have to say is Mickie James, just because she is another trailblazer and she could work. But she was really good in the ring. And obviously in recent years,
the fact that she's not in the Hall of Fame is just a travesty. The only unless she's coming back for another run, and
doubt it.
Yeah, like, to me, I've been saying it for 3 years now since we just started the podcast. Like, every year, I'm like, this is the year she's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and not, and I'm really, and I totally see why it's a tough one for me. But like, to me, again, she has all the accolades, but when I looked at my list, I was like, Charlotte Flair has all the accolades. Trish Stratus has probably equally same amount of accolades, and was a trailblazer before her. So that's why, to me, Mickie didn't make my list. But I totally get it.
Yeah, there was a few others like Angelina Love, Madison Rayne. Obviously, I'm talking TNA, but like those were important. Like Gail Kim as well, despite the fact she's just become weird on social media. She's become a weird mark for herself. She needs to get a grip.
I knew you would say Gail Kim because I know you love TNA, and like to me, so just getting out mine. It was 50-50 because Charlotte Flair, like I mentioned, like Charlotte Flair being on my list, it was either Charlotte or Becky. So for me, the tough decision was like not having Becky on the list based off of everything she's been able to contribute over the last decade to wrestling. So to me that was kind of the tough decision there, more than Mickie James on that front.
No, I get you. I agree with that. I mean, I don't particularly like Becky Lynch. I think that's well documented, but I can understand a decision not to leave her out or have her in. It's there on the circumstance. I completely understand that.
For sure. So, Reece, are you ready? We've mentioned our Mount Rushmore, but we got someone on the line. Again, it's a call-in show, so let us know who's on your Mount Rushmore. We want to hear from all of you. I know her. Reece, you know her.
Hmm.
Bring her in. Nikki!
Hi.
We get a female perspective on our ladies Mount Rushmore.
Tito's cranberry orange juice. Wrong show.
Nah,
Ah.
I see what you did there.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, I approve that. I approve that.
I absolutely love you putting Sherry on your Mount Rushmore. She is on mine, and I don't know if you know the story, but when I'm pretty sure it's the first time Nick called into Josh's show, and of course, you know me, I'm trolling in the chat. Neither of them can remember her name. I literally ran like across the house, down the stairs, and just screamed Sherry. I was like, "Why do you not know this name?" And made me so mad at you guys. But I just like I remember her coming out with DiBiase and everything that she, you know, Sister Sherry and all that stuff. Like she was just so goddamn good, and like she came out. I know I absolutely love Miss Elizabeth as well, but she just like there was just something about her that she was just like this badass bitch, and I'm like not getting, you know, afraid to like go in there and scrap with the boys. And then like obviously when her and Macho broke up and she's in there just like hitting him, and I was just like, this is my girl. I loved her so much. You putting her on there, I agree, she's on mine. And I don't know if I have a definitive list because there's so many people that like should be on there. Are they too new? Are they not like and I like agree everything you said about Moolah, because apparently she's a fucking awful person.
Oh, horrible.
So
horrible.
like how many people did she keep down in the 80s that could have, you know, been good?
Oh, far too many. It says a lot that she actually held Cyndi Lauper down.
Just crazy pants.
Which says a lot. Cyndi Lauper, sorry.
And it's just like, then do you sort of give it like to the old school? Like, do you give it like a nod to what Mae Young, the Mae Young Classic? And I know Stephanie McMahon loved Mae Young, and her being, you know, a BAMF in her, you know, when she was like what 80 or 70 when she took the power bomb from Bubba off the stage. And then, like, you know, I know the story was like he was worried about it, and she's like, just fucking do it. Like, we're doing this. So, like, I do want to give like a nod to her because, again, like, I do want to like, as shitty Moolah was, but obviously we had to start, you know, somewhere. I know I gave Nick so much shit because I was just like, oh, I said it was gonna be Lita, Charlotte, Trish, and then I joked that it was gonna be Sable because you're into blondes and thongs. But I do agree about
and tape.
Again, like the person that like came in that like, you know, obviously name redacted was obsessed with her, but like beautiful. Her coming out with with Tess and Albert. She was with them first, right?
Tess and Albert, TNA,
yeah.
Which everyone's like, no, that's a company name.
Yeah. Right. But then doing this transition into like actually wrestling and doing the work for it, and like now her coming back, her, you know, her two kind of last runs, I think were better than her previous runs. So just like doing the work, putting the time in, and like knowing that like I'm in this business and I want to learn and know the business and putting the time in. So I do want to.
I agree.
Give her that. I don't agree with him too much, but like. I get Charlotte, and I think she's one of the new people, and I think she's kind of beyond like that Flair name. Like, I do love her. I don't know, like her and Natty at what NXT. It wasn't Arrival. It was the one before Arrival when they did the tournament for the belt, right?
Yeah.
She beat Natty for the belt.
That was a good match as well.
Right, and I feel like that was the first. I don't know if that was the first NXT one I watched, but I like remember that match vividly. And I would also give the shout out to Natty. And again, I'm just thinking about like just people that feel like underrated. Not that Charlotte's definitely not underrated, but like Natty should get her flowers. I feel like, do you give something to Medusa Alundra Blaze? Because like it was just her and like what her bull fighting for forever. Oh my god! Did you hear Billy just scream?
She wants to get on the list.
I know, like, I know. Bailey wants Bailey on the list, but like, then do you give something like love to like AJ Lee, who like when I started watching again, it was like, oh, who is this? Like, I
Yeah.
know Josh brings it up on our podcast a couple times that, like, me growing up, it was just like blonde boobs, blonde boobs, blonde boobs. And then having like AJ come in and just being so different. And I was like, oh, I wear Converse, she wear Converse. Like, she just felt so different. And then, like, the anti diva thing. So, and again, how many the superstars now that were like, oh yeah, AJ was my girl. So giving her flowers for being so different. And I know I wouldn't put Nikki Bella obviously on this list, but like they get so much credit. But I feel like they're so early days of AJ that should be on top of that.
I absolutely see where you're coming from in that way. And I think the important thing is like how you, like, as you say, like you hadn't watched for so long, you got back into it and you credit certain people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people that can absolutely turn you off from the business. And I remember clear as day, like one person who I did not like enjoy watching because she was always on TV, whether it be as a match or a segment, and her voice was insufferable. I wish I was deaf, and that's Jillian Hall. And I remember Jillian Hall like it was yesterday, but I also
Jillian
remember
Hall of Fame.
Charmel. Oh yeah, and I remember Charmel, and even that's torture as well. But like the whole element I see is like there's some that can turn you off, and then there's some that can absolutely turn you on. Keep your blondes to yourself, but like but they can really like electrify your pulse into the business and your fandom, and I think that's important. We were talking like before we went live about like Nick brought up the women's evolution. He's like, oh, I wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for like Charlotte Flair, Becky. But I was like, well, Saraya, AJ Lee. You can.
Yeah, you said that. That was so funny. She mentioned AJ Lee. You said AJ Lee. You thought, yeah, it doesn't happen without. Yeah, and they were just like
they're all there, but like
before their time, just kind of like Nikki was saying with Bull Nakano, like in WWE. Like,
I would shout out to Molly Holly, who probably doesn't get it enough.
So
Ivory, who was so good that they just, right to censor. And the poor thing was wrestling in an ugly skirt. But I'm like, they were good, and they didn't get like enough time. I mean, we got like maybe 5 minutes with them, and they could have been so much more. Like
Victoria as well.
Yeah, China and Ivory, even though like I think China would probably be on my list because again, so early days of her like ragdolling Marlena and like obviously what she did with the business and thinking, not thinking, but like saying like I don't want to fight the women because we get no time and you're in a bikini and mud but like I want to wrestle Stone Cold. I'm going to wrestle, Kane and all the people she wrestled, her and Eddie, obviously the Good Housekeeping match and all that stuff. So it's just like he's such a trailblazer, and I agree. There's no Beth, there's no Rhea, there's no anyone really without China breaking that mold. And I think those people just piled on top of that. And I think AJ kind of came because they kind of obviously reverted back. And I think AJ kind of broke that mold again. They were like, you don't have to be this cookie cutter bikini model.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That's fair.
But I don't know. I don't think I have a definitive. I'm just yelling out names.
So give me a name. Give me one name that is definitely on your Mount Rushmore.
Right, so I definitely China, Sherry, AJ, and then I feel like my fourth one is I don't know. I guess Trish. Did I say Trish?
No,
I'm giving you Trish.
She was too busy being blonde.
I know. She had to get a blonde on there. You must have a thing for blondes.
I know, but obviously, it's not my natural color that I'm actually, well, you get old and you turn gray, so you have to be blonde to hide it.
Unbelievable.
You keep so fun. I love you guys doing this, the two of you together. I love it. I love us doing, or you guys doing this. I love trolling the chat. I was like, like Colin, I was like, oh no, I have to mute the thing to make sure there's not the reverb back. So I like being on this side. This was fun. I love you guys immensely.
I'm enjoying it. It's good.
See you later. Oh, she hung up first. Damn it.
Speaking to the punch.
I know. She's fast. She's quick.
Oh, yeah.
Quick fingers. Unbelievable. But what are you going to do?
Sue.
All right. No. I will only get half. What the? Unbelievable. Unbelievable, this guy. All right, Reece. We got about almost an hour until Raw. So let's get out of here. This has been a blast, man. Thank you for joining
really
us.
Enjoyed this.
Yeah, hey, listen, we got a lot more coming. Again, I'm gonna see if I can run this back next week while I still have some extra time on Mondays. I don't know what the topic is yet. It may be tag teams, so I might have to roll next week. Maybe Nikki actually co-hosts because she is my tag team.
I love my tag teams as well. You know that.
Yeah, so it'll be a blast. But Reece, I'm excited for that. But I'm actually back here on Friday. But Reece, tell everybody where they can find you and the Weekly Steelchair. And when's your next show?
Tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow's my next show. So you can find me, folks. Thank you for supporting the Nick Club Happy Hour this evening and myself as we bring you your women's Mount Rushmore. Again, it's subjective, but we ultimately know mine's is best. Just kidding. So you can find me below the Weekly Steelchair on YouTube. I'm the Steelchair on Twitch. Steelchair with a 1, which is also my Twitter handle. I also have a Discord. It's just called the Weekly Steelchair on that as well. So I do that for just like to ourselves, like just promoting our content. So everyone is welcome on my channel. Like obviously Nick's been on before. Nikki will try and get on eventually. We're trying. Always busy. It happens, but we'll figure it out. But like it's always a pleasure. So yeah, my show's tomorrow. I'm reviewing with two like that Just For You Guys show that I do. So myself, Temple, and Josiah, we're going to review the semi-finals and finals of the World Tag League. We're going to review the weekend. So we're going to, as a collective discussion about Saturday night's main event, I'm assuming. We're going to talk the Wrestle Kingdom main event. That's been confirmed as of now. The Wrestle Kingdom main event is not title versus title. Tsuji versus Takeshita. The main event is Okada versus Tanahashi in his retirement match. So that is as tomorrow. Then we'll probably discuss Raw as well, and just is it really a new era or is it just the same thing? We're trying to overall discuss about it. Star Wars is the thing. Oh yeah, you were on it before, but I mean properly, like in a full lengthy show. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sons of Anarchy and Star Wars was fun. The red pill versus the blue pill, you lost.
God. The two of you with that talk.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. But I'd like to have like a more interactive in that way with everybody. I enjoy it, and I'm grateful for this one as well because I met a good community here too. So overall, this is where we're at. So thank you. So yeah, tomorrow I'm live again. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll catch you then. Reece, pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining me. I will catch you later. Ladies and gentlemen. Oops, cut him off. I am so bad at that. I'm getting better. I will eventually get better. But make sure you catch him. You like and subscribe to his channel. Some awesome stuff. And if you're new here, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Yeah, I don't have a really good send off for this. But again, we'll be back here hopefully next Monday talking potentially tag teams. So we'll see how that all works out. But hey, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, Reece. Yeah, so we will see you until next time.
The greatest of all time. They've answered the call. The ropes shake, the lights flash, bodies colliding in a thunder crash. Sweat and grit, glory earned. Icons rise while the tables turn. Chops that echo, move so bold. Who's the one with the title hold? Mount Rushmore Monday.